Proverb 29, verse number 18. When you get there, say, I'm alive. In the King James Version, it reads, where there is no vision, the people perish. But he that keepeth the law, happy is he. That was so short and I'm feeling so good, I'm going to read it again. Where there is no vision, the people perish. But he that keepeth the law, happy is he. Right before you take your seats, look at a few people. Tell them, I need a vision. Hallelujah. You can turn up the house lights. It's okay. I need a vision. In preparation for this Vision Week, I began the process through really the concept of vision. But in the middle of that, the Lord really began to speak in a prominent manner to me about the people that make up this church. While there are corporate words spoken, it's important to understand that we're only as good as the individuals and the families that comprise this ministry. And for some of you, I know you, and there may be things that have been disclosed personally, but others, it's really by revelation. The Lord began to speak concerning where many of you are. And I don't know, I didn't get in your business, and no one snitched on you. But I suspect there are some things in your life that are out of order. And not on this side, they got it all together. Let me try this side. I suspect that there's some things in your life, if we were truthful, that are out of order. I got the real section. I think I'm gonna vibe with you over here today. And I know it's difficult when we come into church because part of the illusion, you've heard me say this in different contexts, we have to master the art of the illusion that we're all good. We have to look the part. We have to be perceived as holy and on point, walking in the middle of the will of the Spirit for our life every single day. But the reality is there's some things in your life, in your families, that have not aligned to the will of God, that are out of order. And our God is a God of order. You've heard me share this message, but in a general sense, if you're taking notes, before there is glory or pronounced results, usually God gets things in order. Say order. Before the glory, we read this passage where the Bible says that the construction of the temple, and we skip right to this part, that the glory of the Lord filled the temple. The cloud was so thick in there, the priest could not stand to minister. Glory of the Lord filled the temple. But what none of us talk about is the order, that the things that were set into place, the things that were set into order before the glory ever came. Before the glory ever came, every curtain rod, every material, every measurement was exactly the way God prescribed, which came from revelation from heaven. They took the revelation from heaven, they practically worked it out in the earth. When they did that, when they aligned themselves to God's will from heaven, then again the glory came. In fact, when Jesus teaches us to pray, notice the same order. He says, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. The revelation first starts in heaven, it comes down to earth. When we align ourselves and order things, the glory of God begins to come in prominent ways in our life. Things that weren't working begin to work. Things that weren't aligned begin to become aligned. Relationships that were out of order begin to come into order. Favor that you did not have, things you would have to strive through, work twice as hard for half the results begin to fall in place when the glory of God comes. And that, in a general sense, follows the order of God. We find this in Acts chapter 1 before we get to Acts chapter 2, verse 1, where we all start, where it says they gathered in one place on one accord, and suddenly there came from heaven tongues of fire that fell upon each of them, and they all began to speak in tongues. The Spirit gave them utterance, and then it spilled out the revival into the streets. But before it ever spilled out in the streets and the glory of God ever came from heaven, they had to get order, because there were 11 apostles, 11 disciples. They needed one because Jesus chose there to be 12. Judas killed himself. Now there were not 12, there were 11. In prayer, they got a revelation that they needed to restore the 12th man. They casted lots, put Matthias in Judas's place. Now they no longer had 11, but 12, the number of order, the number of government. The moment that they had 12, there was order, and then the glory of God came. There are some things we need to put in order in our life. There is an importance to order, but write this down. Order is the byproduct of vision. I cannot put things in order in my life until there is vision. Say vision. I can organize the church or my ministry until there is first vision. I cannot get my family in order until there is first vision. We need to have more than just, you get out of line, I'm going to beat you. Oh, I got a spirit of conviction to hit people in this place, because that's how we're going to do it. We're just going to lay hands on you and pray that God takes care of everything. But if you're trying to work your family toward an end result, an end goal, there has to be more than the spanking to take them where they're going. Has to be a vision for that family, a vision for your marriage. I know it's going to get quieter. I was expecting amens, but it's going to get progressively quieter as we go on. Why? Because there's so much in our lives, not just your life, our lives. I wish I could step down off of this platform and sit with you while I preach this, because I'm with you. There are things in our lives. Look at your neighbor. Tell him, I'm like that kind of preacher. You know, that need or require order. But in order to put things in order, I must have a vision. In order to construct a building, you need an architect's blueprint. Are you still here with me? And in order to construct a godly life, a godly family, a godly ministry, I need a blueprint. I need vision. The Bible says here in this passage that without a vision, listen to me, the people perish. Now, I want to work through this a little bit. Can I work it? I'm going to do it anyway. I don't care what you say. This, as many passages in the Bible, has been hijacked by corporate America. Yeah. This passage, when we need direction, when we want to start a ministry, this passage is quoted, and we as a church have adopted the model of corporate America. Now, there's certain things that work. Just don't use this passage to say it. Because this passage we say, before we do anything, we need to draft up ourselves a vision. We need to think about what we want to do. We need to think about where we're going to go. We need to come up with a good idea and then align everything to the idea. Now, there is some truth to that, but this is not what this passage is saying. This has been co-opted by the corporate world. But can I give you the original translation, or a more accurate translation of what this passage is really saying? It is not saying if you want to go somewhere and ensure that you don't perish, you have to think ahead and create a plan for yourself. Let me give you the translation. The New American Standard Bible is a little bit more accurate. Listen to what it says. It says, where there is no vision, first part's the same, second part's corrected. The people are unrestrained. But happy is he who keeps the law. Now I want you to get this. Where there is no vision, say vision. It is the word hazon. H-A-Z-O-N is the transliterated word. It is the word hazon. Where there is no hazon, listen to me, the people, it says, will perish, or the people rather will become unrestrained. Now write this down. This is not a message, but it's a preparation for a prayer. I want to pray with you in a moment. But the word hazon is not a good idea. It is not saying where there is no good ideas or no organized thoughts, then people perish. It is not saying simply when you don't have a plan, people perish. But the word for vision here, the word hazon, follow me, is the word that speaks of divine revelation in the form of a vision or a word from God. So it is not that I put a plan together based on all the observable empirical data. It is not that I process through everything I learned in school, put on my type A hat, and put together a nice plan and expect everything to work. When the writer says here that without a vision, a hazon, the people perish, what he's saying is, if there is no divine revelation, if there is no thus saith the Lord, and specifically this is not in a general sense a random revelation from God, but it speaks of, follow me, hazon, a revelation from God given to a prophet